Welcome to Agam's online lectures, a lecture series designed to bring learning to the comfort of your home. My name is your lecturer Agama Agama, and today we are going to the second part of our lecture series. Having treated types of tissues, we are now going into organ, and today we are going to treat the topic skin as an organ under the course STB 112, your popular morphology and physiology. The skin is the outermost covering of the body. Skin is the outermost covering of the body. Some textbooks and some authors call it integument. Skin has outgrowths. These outgrowths include hair, nails, oils, and glands. The skin consists of many different tissues. Remember when we treated tissues, we say epithelial tissue, nervous tissue, muscular tissue, connective tissue. So this skin is made up of many types of tissues. The skin thickness is about 4 millimeters. The skin thickness is about 4 millimeters. The skin contains two major layers. The epidermis and the dermis. The epidermis and the dermis. Two major layers. The outermost cover of the skin is the epidermis. The epidermis is the outermost cover of the skin. It consists of flat interlocking cells. The top layer of the skin is scale-like and waterproof. The top layer is what? Scale-like and waterproof. It's made up of a type of protein called keratin. There are so many other sub-layers and tissues of the skin. If you cast your mind back to when we treated tissues, we are talking of the squamous layer, the cuboid, and the columnar layer. These are sub-layers of the what? Epidermis. By the time we go to the dermis, you see that there are other layers. Remember that we said initially that we have simple tissues and complex tissues. Right. So skin should come under the complex tissues. Right. The sub-layers I've said is the squamous layer, the cuboid layer, and the columnar layer. The lower layer of the skin, the lower layer of the epidermis, that's the columnar layer, contain melanin. What is melanin? The pigment that gives color to the skin. Whether you are black African or red Indian or white, what gives color to the skin is the what? Melanin. Otherwise called the skin pigment. Note that skin outgrowths are found in the epidermis. The skin outgrowths are found in the what? Epidermis. The dermis. The second layer of the skin is called the what? Dermis. So there are two major layers, the epidermis and the dermis. Now we have discussed the epidermis, we are going to the what? Dermis. The dermis is thicker than the epidermis. Remember we said the epidermis is about 4, the skin is about 4 mm in thickness. The dermis is thicker than the what? Epidermis. The dermis is thicker than the epidermis. The dermis contain living cells. That means the cells of the skin that are living are contained in the what? Dermis. Skin also contains outgrowths. These outgrowths are called skin derivatives. These outgrowths are called what? Skin derivatives. And they include the hairs on our body, the nails of of our body. And these hairs and this push out of the dermis through a tube-like hair follicle. And this tube-like hair follicle, the hairs push out of the skin through tube-like hair follicle. And this tube-like hair follicle has two parts: the shaft and the root. The shaft, hair shaft, and the hair root. They are also keratinized. That means they contain a protein called what? Keratin. They are also keratinized. The hair nails protect the fingers and the toes. The nails, which are also outgrowths, protect the what? The tips of the toes and fingers. If you look at your fingers and toes, you see the nails. They are outgrowths of the skin, and their job is to protect the toes and the what? Fingers. Then other outgrowths of the skin include the sweat and oil glands. The sweat and oil glands. These are coiled tubes located in the dermis, and they connect to opening on skin surface. They connect to opening on skin and open to the skin surface through openings called pores. They open to the skin surface through openings called pores. Through openings called what? Pores. The palm of the human hand contains many glands, and that's why at times you look at your palm, it's greasy, it's oily, it has some water, because these sweat and oil glands pass water and oils into your palms. And all over your skin, you also notice they are sweating and some oils from these sweat and oil glands. Sweat glands remove from the body water, salts, and nitrogen waste. This water, salt, and nitrogen waste form a liquid called sweat, which is an excretory product of the skin. So the skin is now, apart from liver and kidney, the skin also was an excretory organ, and that's why I say skin as an organ. Then sweat can also be called perspiration. And producing sweat or perspiration regulate the body temperature, because when the sweat comes out of your skin, it will evaporate and cools the body. It will evaporate and do what? Cool the body. Now that we have looked at the structure of the skin, theoretically, I'm going to draw now and show you the structure on the board. But before I go into the structure, let us now, based on what we have heard, look at the functions of the skin. What are the functions of the skin? The skin covers the entire body, is about the largest organ of the human body. What are the functions of the skin? 1. Storage. The skin stores water, salt, glucose, which some of them form sweat. Storage is a storage organ. 2. The skin produces vitamin D production. When you take early morning sunshine, the skin produces what? Vitamin D, which helps in bone formation. Vitamin D, which helps in bone formation. Again, the skin is for protection of the body. The skin protects the body against mechanical injury. If somebody scratches you, you may not see an opening. It's because of the protective action of the skin. And the skin also prevents bacteria from gaining entry into your body. So it's a protection against mechanical injury and bacterial invasion. 4. The skin is a sense organ. A sense what? Organ. If I touch you, you have a sensation of touch. If there's heat, you have a sensation of heat. If there's pain, you have a sensation of pain. Because inside the skin, as we go to the structure now, you see temperature, nerve endings, cold, nerve endings, pain, nerve endings, pressure, nerve endings, because the skin is a sensitive what? Organ. So it functions as what? A sensitive organ. Now we are going to look at the structure of the skin. Look at the structure of the skin. If you look closer at the structure of the skin, there are 2 major parts: the epidermis, the outermost cover, and the dermis, which is thicker. And you can see from the drawing, the epidermis is just this, the dermis extends like this. So the dermis is larger. The hair follicle extends outside the skin as hair shaft. At the base of it is the hair root. The epidermis, as we said, can have other layers like the squamous layer, the cuboid layer, and the columnar layer. You can see I made it 3. The dermis will now have the glandular and the keratin layer, which contains protein. But all of them are sub-layers of epidermis and what? Dermis. That the 2 main layers are what? Epidermis and what? Dermis. The hair root or hair follicle originates from the dermis and projects to the outside. However, the sweat gland, we are seeing here, opens to the outside through the sweat or perspiration pore. This opening, sweat or perspiration pore. Close to the skin, to the epidermis, is a pain nerve ending. So if anything is paining you, like you have 5 burns, you have any sharp pain on your body, the pain nerve ending will receive the sensation of pain. Then you also have blood capillaries that intervene between arteries and veins on the dermis. Then you have your oil gland. This oil gland is also putting some oil on the hair follicle to make it waterproof so that water will not touch it. Then you have here temperature endings, which gives you the sensation of whether the place is cold or whether the place is hot. Then you have your sweat gland that produces sweat that pass through this coiled tube and come to the outside as pore. And you sweat. When the sweat evaporates, the body cools down. So the skin is also a coolant. Then you have muscles, hair muscle. You see, this hair muscle is attached to the hair root. The essence of this muscle is that when they contract or relax, the hair on your skin can stand erect or they can bend. The hair on your skin can do what? Stand erect, or they can do what? They can bend by the contraction of this hair muscle. Then down here, you have a nerve ending called pressure nerve ending. And the base of this hair is called the hair follicle. With this structure and the theoretical description, you can now look at skin as an organ. And an organ is an assemblage of similar tissues that perform almost the same function. In our next lecture, we will now look at one of the systems that make up an organism. If you are thrilled by this lecture, as I remain your lecturer Agama, click on the red button to subscribe. Thank you and God bless you. We'll see you next time.